All right, let's start with this bizarre story. May the real Thabo Bester please stand up. A Heidelberg man is trying to reclaim his identity and prove that he is not the infamous Facebook rapist. The real Thabo Bester says his life has been a living hell since his identity was stolen. A police manhunt is now underway to find the Facebook rapist who escaped from the Mangaung Correctional Center after faking his death. Let's take you live now to our senior reporter, Slindelo Masigani, who's trying to get more and make, more sense of what is happening with this particular case. Slee, it seems to be growing legs every single day. What do you know about the internal probe and the processes that are now underway?
Certainly so, Maseko. The saga just keeps growing more legs, like you said, more information coming out. And of course, we know that this particular story was broken, or should I say, was released by a publication called Ground Up, who did a lot of the legwork when it comes to the information that we're now seeing coming to the fore around the what's deemed to be the escape of one Facebook rapist, dubbed the Facebook rapist, that is Thabo Bester. For years, in fact, he seemed to be able to dodge the justice system, but eventually he was caught, he was convicted, and then sentenced to life imprisonment. He was then, of course, taken to the Mangaung prison facility, or correctional services facility, which is a private public partnership between correctional services as well as the contractor G4S Security. Now, from what we understand from the information from correctional services, is that this private public partnership between the two is about a 24-year contract, and G4S essentially was mandated, or was given the contract to build this facility, run it, staff it, and ensure maximum security, because those who are housed at Mangaung prison are those who are facing very serious crimes or have been convicted of very serious crimes. So from the information we have, it houses about just under 3,000 inmates, and one of those inmates was Thabo Bester. Now, following the confirmation from DCS that their internal investigations have shown them that, in fact, the person who was burnt to death in that cell in Mangaung is not Thabo Bester. Of course, the police have now been roped in for a manhunt and, of course, a murder investigation into who exactly then died in that cell. Now, interestingly, Maseko, the latest information coming from correctional services is that there seems to be a difference of opinion between G4S as well as correctional services in terms of the investigations that DCS conducted that found that the man who died in the cell was not Thabo Bester. G4S seems to be insisting or maintaining that the man who died in that cell is Thabo Bester. So that is where that internal probe is in terms of DCS as well as the private contractor. In essence, you could say that they are in some kind of a dispute, because DCS is saying, look, our investigations are saying that this is not the man who died in the prison, whereas the contractor seemingly insists that it was. Let's take a listen.
As correctional services, we are now engaging with the second leg in terms of what does the contract say when it comes to an escape. But number two, the security breaches that we have identified. Unfortunately, there is no common ground. We don't seem to find each other with the contractor in terms of our findings and what they think to be their findings. And that's where we are right now. It's a matter that needs to be resolved so that we can move forward in terms of how do we then proceed with the working relationship that we have with the contractor.
If my understanding is correct, then is the contractor then disputing that the body is not of Thabo Bester?
Yes, there are disagreements. They maintain that the inmate whom was allocated that particular cell is the one that died in that fire, and we are saying that is not the case.
And Slee, I know that you've also been speaking to some experts. Who do they say should be held responsible legally?
everyone who was involved, essentially, Masego. I mean, what's taken place here is, I think, something that has not only shocked South Africans, but also put the trust of South Africans into the justice system into question, because this is somebody who has been removed from society, who was charged, who went through the legal processes, who was then convicted of very serious crimes and removed from society, but somehow managed to make their way out. And if the information we have at the moment is correct, it means that there is a serious syndicate involving very high ranking officials and people within the justice system to allow something like this to happen. So in essence, everyone who could have played a hand in this particular escape needs to be held accountable. Let's take a listen.
Firstly, we have to say that this person is lawfully incarcerated. So any attempt whilst you are lawfully incarcerated to try and break out or to get away somehow or with some means from the incarceration is of course unlawful. And by its very nature, if you break out of prison or if you escape, you are escaping from lawful custody. And that of course is an offence that normally carries direct imprisonment. One has to keep in mind, Slee, that this also applies to everybody that helps you, because if I conspire with you and other prison wardens to work together to get me in an elaborate scheme to escape, well, then we are all conspiring so that I can escape from lawful custody. And of course, we are committing fraud, because we are giving out and pretending that a body is me, whereas it's not me.
And Slee, in terms of police investigations, are you still going to try and probe them to see what else they found, what update they can give you?
So we will be speaking to the police a little bit later on, just to get a sense as to how far they are with their manhunt. We know that top investigators from Gauteng as well as the Free State are working on this case. We know that following a statement that was released yesterday, the police are trying to keep their cards quite close to their chest, not wanting to reveal a lot into who or what they're investigating. I mean, following a lot of what we've seen on social media, we know that possibly one of the last location in which Thabo Bester was seen, or someone who looks like Thabo Bester, was here in Sandton, where I am right now. He was apparently seen or snapped shopping with a very well-known female doctor. So I think we will be probing the police into exactly whether they are looking at the footage that we're seeing doing the rounds on social media in terms of those pictures, and who exactly perhaps is being questioned around the escape of Thabo Bester. So we will be trying to get more details a little bit later on.